My name is Emma Claire Cost. I'm a freshman at the University of Alabama. I am a collaborative education major on the pre-occupational therapy track. So basically, my end goal is to do research in special education. I wanted to do this video because I have a passion for special education. I have a passion for any of the communities that are classified under that, not just the autism community, but I knew that Autism Awareness Month was coming up. So this is a project that's very special to me. So actually, I did UA early college, and with that, you have to declare your major when you start taking those classes. So I declared my major my sophomore year of high school. My major was human and family development. I knew I wanted to do something working with a large group of people, working almost in healthcare, somewhere in that area. So that was where I landed. Then I got to the University of Alabama and I started hearing so many things about special education. And I joined Crossing Points as a mentor. And I was like, this is what I want to do. So 5 days into classes, I switched my major, changed my entire schedule, and kind of just started there. Um, so I took away a lot of the progress that I made with UA early college, but I think it was worth it because it's something that I'm very passionate about. And within those first few weeks that I was here, because I also moved in early, I kept hearing a lot about special education. And I also kept hearing a lot about like follow your passion and not just something that you think you'll do. And I've been hearing that a lot recently in this semester too. And it's really affirmed me in that like I'm doing what I'm passionate about. I'm doing something that will reward others, but it'll also reward me. I think a lot of times there's a spectrum. So some students are considered high functioning, some students are considered low functioning, but I wouldn't really put it in those words. Some of our students are extremely social, like past the point that I wish I could be. Like I get told I'm social, but our students never meet a stranger. That's how Ryan is too, that we previously interviewed. He never meets a stranger. He walks up to somebody, gives them a fist bump, or that's how a lot of our students are too. And I think that's a really big strength is the fear that most of us neurotypical students would feel on campus being in a large community like this. Our students don't feel that. They feel included. They feel like this is comfortable for them. This is where they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be networking. They're supposed to be involved. Oh, absolutely. This is like easily the best job that I could recommend on campus. I love my job. I love my staff. I love my students that I work with. It's a very encouraging environment to be around. And not because it has to be, because there's a lot of different and unique people that come through our doors every day, but it's just that's the way our program is created. That's what holds our program together is the ability to foster all these unique needs, all these unique differences. And I mean, me personally, I used to get bullied for being weird or being quirky or whatever, and that's never a problem here. It's never anything is wrong with me. It's just, that's who I am and that's my personality. And it's a place where you're accepted for anything and everything. And just having that constantly, it creates a really fun work environment. And we're always laughing, we're always cutting up. We have board games in our main room, and we all sit and play board games, or we'll go to events together, go to the football games together. It's just a fun environment to be around, and it's not your typical 9 to 5 work schedule. You go to class with your student, or you may be an independent living mentor. So you're going to go cook with your student. You do fun stuff that I feel like you wouldn't do on a normal campus job. You're not going to a football game with your coworkers. Anybody that I have worked with autism is more alike than different in any way whatsoever. Our students, the people I've taken care of, the people I've just ran into daily life, a lot more people have autism than you would even know because it's not a visible disability. They're all so similar to who I am. They're similar to who you are, and they're not hard to interact with. It's just, it might take a little more patience. It might take a little more of you digging down into yourself, but these students are more alike than different. These people are more alike than different, and they're not as far away from you as it feels like.
Okay. My name is Dana Parker. I am from Saraland, Alabama. I went to college at Auburn, Alabama, and then got my master's in exceptional student education, K through 12, at University of West Florida. Then I moved to New York City, worked in fashion for a little while, and came back home, married my childhood sweetheart. And now I've been teaching special education for 12 years now. That is in a classroom for multiple disabilities with a big emphasis on the autism community. I have taught students with autism for quite a few years now, and I will say that their social differences are a huge challenge. They can range from, their severe needs to your higher functioning that may be in a general education classroom. I would say that communication is a very big one. Social skills is a very big one because they want to be engaging with their peers. They want to interact with their peers. They want to be a part of their peers. They may just not know how to. So it's very important to have people advocate for them and teach them these skills because they should be included too, just like their, neurotypical peers. And I just find it very important for people to include them because they want to be included. But those communication skills and social skills are a big struggle for them to learn because it doesn't come natural to them. Um, Going into special education for me started years and years ago. I have always been drawn to people with special needs. For instance, I could be in Disney World and you best believe I can find somebody in line that may have some type of disability. I will strike up a conversation with them or their parents. I just am fascinated by them and how they may have struggles in this world, but they overcome them. Um, to me, they're heroes, and their parents are too. It's always been very intriguing and fascinating to me that I knew that I wanted to do something in this field. As I started school, I went into education, and of course, you start hearing people talking about things. And for me, with special education, it was all the paperwork that went along with it, and it is a lot of paperwork. And I listened to people instead of following my heart, and I got out of this field, and I changed my major into something that I didn't regret. I was glad I did it, but then on down the road, I didn't have a calling for what I went to school for, and knew that my heart was in some type of field that worked with children or adults with special needs. And so I found myself back on the path of being a teacher and being a special education teacher. And well, 14 years later, I'm still here.
My name is Terry Mobbs, and I'm here today with my son, Ryan. Ryan has several different diagnoses, but one of them is autism, and we live in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Well, Ryan has helped me realize that each person is unique and different, and you don't have to look for traditional skills like intelligence or strength, but everybody has different qualities that they can share and give to other people, and it's helped me to realize that there's more to a person than what the world looks at as strengths. There's other strengths that are maybe hidden that people haven't seen. So I have come to see that in other people and been more appreciative of other people. I think that, each person is different. And so just Ryan loves all things that move and sports. So like he loves to do things like with trains and cars and airplanes and, play baseball. So I think just trying to meet him him so he can do the things he wants to and adapt them, like I was saying, that has helped make him have a fulfilling life and a fun life and a good life, even though it looks different than some of his typical peers.
So my name is Amy Williamson. I am a clinical associate professor in the special education department, the coordinator for the undergrad and master's programs in collaborative education, and the director of the Crossing Points program. The formation of Crossing Points was intended to provide an opportunity in an age-appropriate setting for students with intellectual disabilities who also have autism sometimes, and give them an opportunity to be on a college campus and have a college experience, but learn the skills that are critical for them to be successful when they graduate from high school and college. So I have worked at the University of Alabama for quite a while. I started, my first role at Crossing Points was a teacher. So I graduated from the undergrad program at Alabama and became the teacher of Crossing Points back in the early 2000s, and worked in that program for a while I got my master's degree and my doctorate degree. And then as I transitioned into the faculty role and working more in administrative positions, I saw the need for connecting our department more specifically with our program so that students who are earning degrees in special education and other education degrees can have the experience of working with this population while they're still in school and seeing really positive outcomes and really positive experiences that they can carry with them and hopefully implement in their own classrooms one day. I think one of the best ways we can advocate is just to recognize that they're more like us than they are different from us. And I hesitate to use the word they because it almost feels like it separates them, and truly they're not separated. Our students have the same interests as every other student on campus. But it just may take them a little longer to communicate that or to get there. And so give them time, be their friend, and appreciate every part of them, including the parts that may be slightly different. I think that's the best way that we can advocate. So success for our students can look different from each other. It's all based on what each individual student's goals are. And so one thing that we do while they're in the program is every year we have person-centered planning meetings. And the student puts together a presentation about all the goals that they have in their life. And the goals, we try to center them in specific areas so that we can keep them somewhat directed. But the goals are in employment, independent living, like where they want to live one day, what they want their social life to look like. And so they develop all these long-term goals, and then they develop short-term goals that they want to work on each year in order to achieve those long-term goals. And so depending on what their goal is, their outcome could be different. The main outcome that we want is for our students to graduate from the University of Alabama and be able to go to work somewhere in a career that interests them, where they have the opportunity to be promoted and move up just like everybody else, and move out on their own and live independently from their families, and then whatever else they may want. If they want a family of their own, if they want to join a church group or community sport league, or whatever they want for their own lives is what we try to help them to achieve. At this point, we've had 4 graduating classes in CCOS specifically. And of those 4 classes, 85% of the students are employed in a career that aligns with their interests, and 67% of them live on their own outside their families' homes. And that is really quite astounding compared to the national average for the same population of student. In our Tier 1 program, we've collected data since 2006, and 75% of those students are employed in a career that is of interest to them and have worked in those places for at least 5 years. And again, the national average is about 25%. So 75 and 85 is significantly higher than that.
My name is Olivia Grace Pettis. I'm from Saraland, Alabama. I'm a mentor at Crossing Points, and I'm a special education major at the University of Alabama. Okay, so I work at Crossing Points, and through that I work with students with intellectual disabilities. And in doing that, I've been able to form some really deep and strong connections with these people and really see the challenges that they go through every day and just how strong that they really are. In high school, I just saw them when they were in school and at home, and here it's been great being able to see how independent they are and how strong they really are. I've loved getting to see how my students interact with others because I have one student and he is really into sports, basketball, and church. So I feel like everywhere we go to work on his classes, he always knows somebody. And in doing that, his friends always come up and they chat for a minute. And I just love getting to see that because it's not like a student that is neurodiverse and neurotypical. I just see it as two friends catching up. In high school, I really loved the big events that we would do, like Kicking for Kindness, which raises awareness for Down syndrome, and Shooting to Change, which is awareness for autism. They really did a great job at raising awareness for those disabilities. But I think that true inclusion is about more than just the big events, but involving people in everyday life, building relationships with each other, and interacting all day. Those events are very important, and we should continue doing them, but I think it's more than that.
I am Jada Braxton. I am from Selma, Alabama. I am a cross-appointed student at the University of Alabama. I have autism. I'll say job. I'll say job choices.
Okay, how are they affected?
Because it's hard to get jobs that will work for disabilities and like accept disabilities. So that's why it's hard for like trying to find a, like an easy job to work with. The challenges that I face being having autism is hard making new friends who pretty much interact with me that see me like, oh, I want to be her friend. She's a cool person. I want to talk to her. That's the hardest challenges that I have faced. So,
Okay.
my mom being an influence for me because she's like big supportive of me and how I achieve all my accomplishments that I do out through the years. And she's like my best friend. So that's the thing. And I feel like she's like my role model because she tells me, I think you got this, Jada. You pretty much bring so much joy and so much light that you can do anything in the world that you can think of. That's what my mom always tells me.
My name is Dr. Jeremy Reed. I am the program faculty and I'm a clinical assistant professor in the Department of Special Education here at the University of Alabama. And my job is to work with the Crossing Points program. I've been with the program about 5 years now. I started as the Independent Living and Social Inclusion Coordinator. And so my job was to make sure that our students were in clubs and organizations that they wanted to be in. But then also there was an instructional piece where they were cooking, they were working on laundry. I was teaching all of those skills. I actually fell backwards into Crossing Points. I was looking for a job, and an opportunity came up with the program to do just that, the independent living and the social inclusion, and then also external relations. And so they told me when they hired me, they said, we needed the skills that you have in teaching and communication. We can teach you everything else that you need to know about working with our population. So I've been working with the autism community about 5.5 years now. I've been on campus though since 2011. I've held different positions in undergraduate admissions, president's office, Capstone Men and Women, that sort of thing. But what drew me to Crossing Points and really my doctoral study was just the ability to work with this population because I had no experience prior. My educational background is in communication, so my undergraduate degree is from Huntington College. It's in communication studies. My master's degree is from the University of Alabama. It's also in communication studies. My PhD is in higher education administration. My study that I did, my dissertation, was actually looking at the mentor experience working with students with intellectual disabilities and what they got out of that experience, why they wanted to work with our population, things like that. I'm originally from Montgomery, Alabama. I was born and raised there. Really only lived in 3 cities: Montgomery, Tuscaloosa. Now I live in Hoover, Alabama with my wife and 1.5 children. We have a child on the way. So we have a 3-year-old son, and we live in Hoover. She's a high school teacher. So it's kind of neat to be able to go home and talk strategies and things like that, because she works with that population, not fully, but in some inclusive spaces. She has some students that have IEPs and disabilities and things like that. And so she works with that population on the secondary level. So it's kind of cool to be able to go home and have conversations about what I'm doing on the college level, what she's doing on the secondary level. And so born and raised Alabamian, and just excited to do what I do and the impact that I'm able to have on a daily basis. There's a variety of things that keep my side of the program running efficiently. It's me partnering with faculty and building relationships with them. So I feel like if you have a relationship with someone, things go a lot smoother because they know that you're invested in that relationship, and it's on behalf of the students that we work with. But also the faculty can come to me at any point. So I think what makes my side of the world run smoothly is the relationships that I build with faculty members, and the fact that they know that they can come to me. I feel comfortable enough to go to them with questions, issues, things like that. Also, the mentors. So, working with our mentors, ensuring that they are equipped and prepared to support our students, knowing that um, they are equipped and prepared, they can then go forth and support our students. So, if they are prepared and equipped properly, then that runs smoothly. I know that things go well. And of course, we'll have issues that come up every now and again with this, that, or the other, because every student is different, every mentor is different, every professor is different, every class is different. So everything kind of coming together as one is like a marble cake, if you will. That really, if everything runs smoothly, the student does what they need to do, I do what I need to do as the program faculty member, things run smoothly. But it takes everybody, the professor, me, our mentor, the student, all doing what we're supposed to do. That's when things run smoothly. But part of my job also too is to figure out why it isn't running smoothly and figure out what the issue is. Could be a professor issue, could be a student issue, could even be a mentor issue. So my job is to figure out what the problem is, and then help support and facilitate what needs to happen to make things go better and smoother for everybody involved. So we do a lot of work on the kind of social skills, communication skills side. I've seen a lot of growth and a lot of progress in particularly students with autism in that space when they've been in our program. And I'm not saying that as a braggadocious point about our program. I've just seen the value and the importance of communication skills and interacting with the world around them. One class that I recommend to pretty much all of our students, but particularly students that I know are struggling with social skills, is COM 220, which is interpersonal communication. And so our students enroll in that class because they are able to gain a lot of different skills that they can apply in their own lives. And our mentors work with them and support them in applying that in their own lives. So I think, go back to your original question. Say your question one more time, Emma Claire.
What support do students with autism benefit from the most, and how can any
No.
UA student do that? So not just mentors.
Yeah. So anybody can gain positive communication skills. Anybody can gain the importance of understanding yourself, knowing who you are, knowing where your space and place is in life. And so not just academics is able to teach you that. Interaction and connection with other people also teaches you that. So I see the value of teaching social skills and the value of actually practicing those out. It's great for our students. It's great for our mentors. But from what I've seen on a college campus, college students in general need those interpersonal skills in their lives because they're going to be interacting with multiple generations, different kinds of people, different nationalities, different backgrounds, all of the things. And so understanding how to adapt and connect with people around you is critical and key. And we teach those skills to our students, but people. So one approach that we take in this program is we don't use the word help, because the word help makes it kind of feel like you're dragging somebody along. Whereas support is you're pushing them and they're the ones running the show. So when it comes to engaging with people and not making it be overbearing, number one, you have to build a relationship with the person that you are around, or maybe it's a mentorship situation, maybe it's a neighbor, maybe it's a coworker, whatever the situation is. You first have to build a relationship with that person so that they can understand you, you can understand them. And then you want to individualize. Every relationship is individual. Everything's local. So the relationships that you have with people, you can't be overbearing because they'll push you away. And particularly with people with autism, they can push people away because they find you too overbearing because you're trying to be helpful. I found that a lot of times some of the more larger issues that people have in their relationships is not because someone was trying to do something wrong. It was because they were actually trying to help, but it wasn't the correct help, or it wasn't the most effective help for that particular person. So just assuming that you can be overbearing in one situation and it work in another situation, or this strategy worked over here and this one didn't, that just doesn't, you can't just apply it to someone else and assume that it's going to work. So your question one more time, Emma Claire. I want to make sure I
How can
hit all the
anyone
points.
encourage confidence without being overbearing? So, like,
You said competence or confidence?
confidence.
Confidence. Okay.
So, like, if one of our students walking around campus, like, they don't feel confident about using the bus app, or
got you.
don't feel confident about their test coming.
Got it. I'm a huge proponent of letting people try. Give them a shot, let them do it, and then what are some tweaks we can make along the way? So a lot of times confidence is just having the opportunity to try. But then when you do mess up or when you do fail, there is someone there to support you, to point you in the right direction of where you need to go. So the dignity of trying, the dignity of failure, but also simply knowing that someone is there to support you and has your back, that goes a long way, particularly for people with autism, but anybody in general. When you know someone has your back, you know that you are seen, that you are heard, that you are a part of the fabric of wherever you are. That matters. And I think that gives people a lot of confidence. So it could be something as simple as an app, or a test that a student took, or approaching someone that they find attractive across the room. Sometimes people need to be gassed up for those things. And so you have to be able to support people and know how to best support that person and what their confidence needs to hear so that they can do whatever it is that they need to do, and that it's not the end of the world if you mess up. Life gives you plenty of opportunities to try again.
So my name is Mandy Humphreys. I'm from Olo, Mississippi, and my son has autism. He is currently 18 years old, and we moved to Saraland because of the Saraland City Schools with Project Outreach. We had heard about that and wanted Ty to be involved in that. And Ty definitely changed my perspective on, when you're in the supermarket and you see a screaming kid, or you see somebody overreact about a sound or the way something feels, and it's just that natural, like, oh, that kid needs a whipping, and those kind of things. And you immediately, once you have a child that has sensory issues, then you start looking at life differently, where, before you might have thought, oh, they just need a spanking. Now it's more of a, well, there's probably something else going on, that kind of thing. He's taught me a lot of patience, a whole lot of patience. Definitely learned to just let things go, and like what's really important, like used to things that you thought mattered, they don't really matter. His communication device, when he got it and how quickly he picked up on it, he started using one in therapy ever since he was 5. Like, but the first thing that he learned was cookie. So like, cookie, give me a cookie. I want cookie. I know, we got it. I see. And yes, you got Elsa. So I would say that communication device, it really opened up his personality to us even more, because we would pick up on his personality. You can't help but not to. Like, anybody that meets Ty, they pick up on his personality real quick. He's hilarious. He's a jokester. But one time specifically that I realized, because he used to act like he didn't know how to use his talker, and he would pretend like he couldn't. He doesn't like to show you all his cards, like, I can't put my sock on and I need you to do it, and things like that, where he really could, but he doesn't like to show you that. When he was, I think he was in therapy, he was 3 years old, and he wouldn't stack his blocks. They were just trying to get him to stack 5 blocks on top of each other, and he wouldn't do it. He sat there for an hour and a half, screaming, crying like he was being murdered, and it was the end of the world. And then finally, at the end of it, he stacked those blocks so fast, one on top of the other, as high as they would go, every block that was on his counter. And when I walked into the room after the therapist, lost her mind and went nuts and was like cheering for him and excited, and he just looked at me and he was like, oh no, now she knows I can do that. Like it was just that kind of thing. And so when he got the communication device, it was the same thing. It was like he would use it when he wanted to, but if he didn't want to, then he wasn't going to use it. And that's when I realized, okay, so you're making conscious choices of you don't want me to know that you can do that, And so then I was like, you are a lot smarter than I think you are. He's hilarious. We found out that the word bet is on the talker. I didn't know it was on there. And we're riding in the car and somebody said something to him and he goes, bet. And I looked at him and I said, did you just say bet? And then he found where it says ha ha ha. And he goes, ha ha ha. And then just cracked up laughing because he was making a joke and being funny. And so he's done things like that where I didn't realize that those were on there, but then I think he realized, oh, now mom knows I know what's on here and I know how to use it, So then we started using it more, and he still uses it. It's just more for like a wants and needs. He won't really use it for conversation because he's so good at come here, come, like he can show you what he wants. He's not going to sit down and really talk on it, but he'll tell you what he wants to do and what he wants to eat, and wants and needs essentially. I don't know that I could nail it down to one thing. He is, I'm gonna cry again. He is just such a wonder in like the best way. Like he makes you appreciate the little things in life, and he's so satisfied with nothing. Like Christmas time, for example, like he just wants some balloons and balls and cars and some videos, a bluey shirt, whatever, he likes simple things, but he understands everything you say, and he understands everything that we do probably better than we know. And I don't know, just he's taught me so much on how to just appreciate everybody and look at everybody in a different light, like just appreciate them for who they are, what they are, and see them how in, I guess, where they're at, like just, I don't know. And he's the life of the party everywhere he goes. Like he's always fun and ready for a good time. He's a runner. That I've hopped many of fences and pews and bleachers to chase him, but he's definitely made it very exciting.